minutes. That's good.
That was awesome.
That was the best technical difficulties we've had in
solid gold.
Oh, I found it.
What's up? My God.
I had to scroll.
Holy shit.
Stevie, I'm on Jamie's phone.
We're in the
best blooper ever.
Oh, sending data. We lost Instagram. Instagram's no good. Sorry, boys. No Instagram tonight. All right. Welcome back to Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is the Canadian Bear Camp recap. The boys went up to Canada and did it well. This is your boy East Coast Trev. I got the Madman with me. We got Chris Bittman and Seth. Big Country.
Honey Badger.
Oh, no, it's Honey Badger. What's up, boys? Did you guys come back with crazy accents or anything fun? What's going on?
We just say 100% now all the time. 100%.
Good.
Was it fun? You guys are a whole new man now, or what?
Oh, them woods will change you.
Yeah. It was an experience, to say the least.
I want to cut off though real quick, Trev, because my biggest question first before we start is like, take yourself back to before we went. Like, what were your thoughts and expectations? Like, what were you guys expecting? Like from everything.
All right, Seth. When Seth sits down, he's done moving. Go ahead, Seth.
I expected Yukon, maybe a little less teeth, a little less handsome. I expected to sleep in the dirt. I don't know, man. It kind of exceeded every expectation I had. I kind of knew what to expect because you've talked about it so many times, but at the same time, like, it just doesn't prepare you for it. Like the openness of that type of wilderness, especially coming from my little ass town. Like I've never seen country like that before, so that was wild.
Did you have any expectations going into it?
Not the expectations I had was like, don't screw up. You know what I mean? Like that was about it. I didn't really like. I knew, like, as much as I can say I knew what to expect from Stevie. I didn't. It doesn't prepare you for like that reality. Like it's a different world over there.
How about you, Bittman? What was your expectations going into it to what actually happened?
I didn't even know what it was going to be realistically when I got there. I had like an open mind for everything. I mean, Steve kind of laid the base of what we were going to get into, like the urban ground being so vast and being so like what they were doing. The reality didn't hit till like Monday when you got on stand. Like that was the eye like opening experience. Like when we got on stand and they drop you off and you have no cell service and you're just in the middle of nowhere. It's miles away from any civilization. It felt like that's when it got real and you were like, oh my God, this you can't explain this to anybody.
I mean, how about like just the drive to the stand the first time? Like, when you pull out of camp and you hit that dirt road and it's like miles and miles and miles. Like, are we there yet? Like, it's a poke from camp before you even get to stand.
I like that, to be honest, because like it kind of settled you a little bit. Because like it's a little unnerving, So like the ride there lets you decompress from the nerves after leaving camp. At least for me, that first night, I was like, "Oh shit! Like it's real now." You know what I mean?
I was more like taking it in. I was taking everything in. As soon as they closed the gate and you started to go down that road, and you just look out into these like 100-acre cuts. They were everywhere. So you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know where you were, what was going to happen. And then they're just, the guys up there, they don't waste no time. They lay it to the board and you're going like to get where you got to go, and I was with, Johnny. So like, he wasn't light on the foot. So I mean, we were hammering down through the roads, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I just like I felt like I died, and I was like in my happy place up there. To be honest with you.
What was it like sitting in the stand for the first time? Now you're alone. They drop you off. You're in the wilderness. You're miles and miles away from camp. Like there's obviously and neither of you have really seen bears in the wild or over bait. So this is the first experience that you've been part of. Um, what was the anticipation like waiting for that first bear to show up?
You sit down. It's like obviously 6 hours. That's a long sit. Number one, from Rhode Island deer hunter, that's a long sit. So like you sit down, you're like, all fired. I was all fired up. Like, let's go. We're here. Let's kill a bear. And then 4.5 hours later, you're still sitting there. You realize that you still got 4 hours left of daylight. And I don't know. I kind of realized like you're alone in the wilderness when that first night on stand. You know what I mean? Like the boys are far away in the truck, and like you're in the bear woods alone. It's a freeing experience. It goes from excitement to like nervous to like, this is sick.
What happened?
It was cool.
What happened when you saw your first bear?
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I do want to say this, and I think the boys will agree with me. That one of the best parts is like you get dropped off, and you give them the thumbs up. Guide gets in the truck and starts that truck, and he starts driving off, and you can hear that truck, driving back off to the main road, and like he just like disappears into the distance. And when you can't hear that truck anymore, and it goes quiet, you're like, this is it. Like it's just me and the bears. Like I'm by myself. I probably don't have cell service. I have the inReach, which is a little comforting, but like if you don't have cell service, I know Seth didn't have cell service. Bittman, the second stand you went to, you didn't even have two-way radio, sir. You were just
nothing. I was in the middle of nowhere. I was in a hole.
But yeah, when that truck disappears and it gets quiet, you're like, this is it, man. Like I'm strapped in for the night, and it's just me and the bears for the night,
Till 10 o'clock.
Just you and the Yeti, man.
Yeah. So I think for the first night, it was me, Dad, and Seth were in Brian's truck, and we dropped Dad off first, then we dropped Seth off, and then we dropped me off. Well, of the three of us, I was in a ground blind. Dad and Seth were in tree stands. So when I get dropped off, it's just me and Brian, and we're coming down the road, and I hadn't been to this bait before. It's a new bait, and it's called Wyatt. It's named after Brian's son. They found it and set it together for the first time. So we're coming down the road, and you can just start to see the barrel at the end of the road, and there's a ground blind like upside down, flipped over into the bushes. And Brian's like, oh shit. He's like, the bears tore the ground blind apart. And I'm like, good, great, good. Like that's just what I want to hear. The bears already found the ground blind or whatever. So as we got up, we found out it was just the wind kind of flipped it over or whatever. So we just flipped it back over, and the very best, right? But that I'm sold on the ground blind. Like I told Brian, like don't put me in a tree again. Like I'd much prefer rather sit in the ground blind for bears than sit in a tree. 100%.
Why is that?
I don't know. I feel like it's just a little more intense because you're on ground level, eye to eye with the bears. But like the blind I was in, like I just felt like I could get away with way more movement if I wanted to. Like I spent a lot of times in a bear stand where like you don't move at all, like less than you do deer hunting, because you got like when you're in a stand for bear, you got to think the entire time you're there, there's eyes on you. Like they could be in the bushes, like watching the bait. So like any movement, they'll pick you off, and it might be the difference between a big boar coming out or not. But when you're in a ground blind and you're in this little ass window like this, I mean, it's a lot more cover. And like I said, you're at eye level with the bear. It's pretty intense.
Do you think that you get a better shot, like as far as blood too?
That's another thing too. Yeah. So like you're more likely to get like double lungs on a straight horizontal shot, where like with the angle, like, yeah, you'll get that exit hole coming out the bottom for more blood, but like more of a chance depending on the distance at like catching like top along on the entry and coming out the bottom or whatever.
That's definitely where it's at. Where do we want to start with this? Where do we want to take this? Do you want to start from the top? How do you guys want to roll with this? This is your guys'
I
episode.
don't even know where. I mean, dude, we can start. We can tell you about our trials and tribulations at the border because that was a shit show.
Yeah, that's always the good thing for somebody.
And like, it sucked, dude, because like I've crossed the border so many times and had no issues. And I told these guys, listen, don't worry about it. Like I told them, like get clipboards, have all your paperwork in little folders, like show up like a professional, act like you've been there before. You know, you'll impress the border agent. You know, you don't look like a hack. Dude, we get there and it was a shit show on both sides of the border. Like they always go out to like verify your serial numbers. So she goes out and does it on the American side. She left me inside. So she went into my truck, got the guns out. We didn't even get to watch. Comes back out. Didn't put the guns away, whatever. And then we go to the Canadian side, and the guy's asking me questions, and he dropped my license. So when he bends over to pick up my license, he hits his head on the corner of the desk, and like, I don't think it pissed him off, but I don't think it did us any favor. So then we pull through, and we go in. You know, you have to pay the $25 tax or whatever to bring a firearm into the country. And then them boys are like, "All right, yeah, no problem. We just got to verify your serial numbers." Okay. We're standing there watching him. Dude, he starts in my glove box. He's like, glove box, center. He like rips my cab apart. And I'm like looking at Seth and Bittman. I'm like, dude, I swear to God, they've never done this before. Ever. Like, I don't know if they're pissed about Trump and the tariffs or what, but like, and they're taking it out on us. But at one point, they were cool. Like, they were just doing their job. They weren't assholes. Like, they were very nice and professional, but it was like they were just doing what they had to do. But like, at one point, the kid pulls my video camera out of the back seat and he's like, he comes up, like, I just see him come around my door and he's holding my video camera. He's like, "Oh, what are you, YouTubers?" And I'm like, kind of. I'm like, "We got a podcast." And he's like, "Oh, really? What's it called?" And I was like, "Finish doing what you're doing. I'll give you some business cards, some stickers." So I'm like passing out business cards and stickers.
They had him like selfie film himself through the borders.
He might be listening right now. I don't know. But I mean, all in all, it is what it is, right? Like, what do we lose? Like a half an hour at the border. So, you know, finally they're done. We get in the truck, we head out, and Seth's like, "Oh, I thought we had clipboards. They weren't going to bother us." Like, so
I thought I was going to the border with a veteran of those things. It sounded like you never did
hilarious.
it before.
But
it was after.
What's that?
It was funny after we left the border. During,
I mean, I wasn't really worried. There's like, what are they going to do? There's really nothing. There's nothing in the vehicle. Like, everything's illegal. We're good. But, yeah. So got through there. Got to camp, no problem or whatever. I guess the action didn't really start. You guys got anything between then and Monday night?
No, nothing. We just kind of showed up and you know, we were just meeting all the guides and all the different guides in camp. Like Sunday was pretty chill when we got there, other than the raining, and it was like felt like it was 30 degrees when we got there. But other than that, it was, you know, it was all right. The action didn't start till Monday.
Yeah, so I guess I'll take it from the top because I probably got the shortest story. So Brian drops me off, you know, dropped Dad off, dropped Seth off, dropped me off. I had a decent idea what was going on in there as far as bears and like what to look for or whatever. So Brian drops me off. I think it's like 4:22 and the truck's gone. And like 4:30, I see like a little black flash in the bushes by the bait. And I'm like, that's definitely a bear. And a couple minutes later, like, I don't know, maybe like 150-pound sow comes in, goes to the bait. Watched her for like a good half an hour, it's just awesome. Like anytime when you see that first bear, like I don't care how many times you do it, and like you know you're there for bear, you're going to see bear. That's what you came for. Like when that first bear steps out, you're like, holy shit! Like there's a bear. Like I can't believe there's really a bear here. Like it just every single time it just blows your mind. So, but yeah, I got to watch her for about 35 minutes, and then out of nowhere, she just fucked off. Just see you later. Just walked away into the bushes. And I'm like, all right, like no big deal. Like I didn't spook her. Like that's just how bear baits work, right? They come and go, and there's other bears around or whatever. And Brian had told me, he's like, you're gonna hear some fucked up noises tonight. Like there's a lot going on at this bait. There's a lot of bears. It's the rut. Like, you know, just be prepared. So I'm like, okay.
What
So
kind
she,
though, like what?
I can't do it. Brian does it really good, but it's like a whoa, 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 whoa. It's eerie, dude. Especially when you're sitting on the ground. Like it's different. But so she leaves, and I don't know how much time went by, but all of a sudden, so like I'm looking down a logging road, and I can pretty much just see down the logging road, and the barrel's right on a corner, but I can't see around the corner. And then behind the barrel, the logging road continues, but it's like kind of grown up a little bit, like brushy. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just see a bear just come up out of the ditch onto the logging road behind the barrel and stick its head out, and I just see like shooter head, like that's a head. I'm like, oh shit, that's a good bear. So he comes in, and as he's coming in, I see like a little sow come up out of the ditch, and she goes to the barrel. So he comes right at me, and I'm like, yep, that's a good bear. So he's at the barrel, and it's like definitely a shooter, but it's not like a giant. Like he's like slightly quarter in two, and he's like just below the top of the barrel by just a little bit, a couple inches lower than the barrel. So I'm watching. I'm like, that's a good bear. Now, luckily, I had the in reach, and I was in a ground blind. So, like, I was like, not gonna lie, I was texting Brian a little bit on the in reach, and I was like, bear's already here, and he's just like, enjoy the show. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, well, what show? So I'm like, all right. So I'm watching this bear. He's eating. I'm pretty sure the other bear there's a sow, but they're not acting ruddy. He's not really acting interested with this bear or whatever. They're just kind of chowing. And I don't know. It wasn't very long. And all of a sudden, the big bear just takes off. Not run, but like not walk. Like kind of just trots off away from me, goes down in the ditch, disappears. And like a minute or two later, the little one just bolts out of there. I'm like, all right. Like now we got some action going on. And then like 30 seconds later, a big bear comes running in from my left, right past the barrel, and chases him off into the woods. After that, dude, like all hell broke loose. It was crashing through the woods, smashing, clacking teeth, that won't, 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 won't. Like, I'm like, and you can't see any of this. Like, it's just in the woods around me. And Brian had said about 7:30, 8 o'clock, like, shit's going to get real in there. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, all right, I'll keep an eye on that. So about 7:30, I hear the train coming. Like there's a train that comes through along the river, I guess, and like train comes through, and it was a long train. It's making all kinds of racket, and it finally works its way past me. We ended up dubbing it the Black Bear Express. I'm like, dude, I think what happens is every night the train comes through and he lets out all the new bears and drops them off at all the baits. Because as soon as the stocking truck, right? So as soon as that train got out of sound, I couldn't hear it anymore. Dude, it was like bears everywhere. At one point, I had this little bear like just dart across the road in front of me, like fast, like a black flash, right across the road. And like, as a deer hunter or whatever, dude, I picked the gun up, turned the safety off, put it, I'm on it down the road, and I'm thinking that giant's just gonna step out on the road. I'm like, come on, baby, step out, step out, step out. I don't know. I waited 2-3 minutes, nothing stepped out, so I lowered the gun, turned the safety back on, sitting there. Like 5-10 minutes later, black bear runs across the road in front of me again. Pick the gun up, turn the safety off. I'm like, come on, baby, step out, step out, step out. Nothing. Put the gun back down, turn the safety off. And at one point, because I'm in a ground blind, I like kind of set the gun up in the corner, right? Because I got sick of holding it. And like at one point, dude, there was like something outside the blind, like 40 yards in my blind spot to my right. And I can hear like crashing, and I can hear that won't, 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 won't. And I'm like, fuck, that's close, and I can't see it. And like I just picked the gun up, and I'm like, dude, if something sticks its head in this window, like I'm shooting this thing at like point blank. Like I don't. We'll find out what it is later, but anyways, so that goes on, and then I could see like behind the barrel, like maybe 40-50 yards behind the barrel, I'd see like a black flash crossing the road, and then cross the road again, and then all of a sudden I see a bear stand up on its back legs, and it's like, peering, looking right down the road in my direction, but like he's not looking at me. At one point, I thought maybe he was like trying to scope me out, but I'm like, there's no way he knows I'm here. I'm looking through this little tiny window, and he's like probably like 90 yards away. And he's looking, and go back, and they stand back up. He's looking, and then all of a sudden, I see this giant white V on his chest, like probably the biggest chevron I've ever seen. Huge white V, real dark face. So I'm like trying to text Brian. I'm like, how big's the bear with the white V? And then he texts me back. He's like, I didn't know there was a white V bear there. So I was like, great. So I'm like, all right, cool. So the bear stands up like maybe 5 or 6 times and finally goes down, disappears down in the ditch to the left. Like 2 minutes later, bear appears at the bait coming from the left, dark face, circles the bait, gets broadside at the barrel, and he's like top of the barrel, like bigger than the shooter I had earlier, like 100% even with the top of the barrel, dark face. I forgot to tell this earlier, but did get confirmation from Brian on the inReach that my dad had already shot at this point. So dad shot, bear's recovered, it's a boar, it's in the back of the truck. So I know dad's tagged out. I got this bear, top of the barrel at the bait, black face. There's a good chance it's got a white V. I'm like, all right, I've seen enough. Put the 308 behind the shoulder, pulled the trigger, bear runs, hit Brian on the inReach like I just shot. So he's on his way. So the best part about that was, that took him a minute to get there. So I hear the truck coming. I look out the back window of the blind. Brian pulls up next to me. I just kind of opened the blind, stuck my head out, and like I'm looking up to Brian in the truck. So like I'm telling him I was a good bear, top of the barrel, dark face, might have a white V, whatever. So he's like, all right, cool. So I'm like, who's in the truck with you? And he's like, your dad and Tyler. And I was like, oh, you got Stelic with you too? I was like, this is awesome. So like it was cool. Short track job. Brian pretty much walked right to him. As soon as he found him before I did. So I'm like, it's a good bear, right? And he's like, yeah, real nice bear. I was like, does it have a white V? And he's like, no white V. And I was like, shit. So, but it was cool. Like dad was there for the recovery. Tyler Selleck was there. Brian, like it was a good night. Good experience.
Was dad's bear already in the back of the truck?
Yeah. Yep.
So he was already done.
He was done in the back of the truck, just piled mine right on top and let's go. Wait for Seth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes it short, sweet, easy. What's that? That's the first night, first sit, first.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think I shot around a little after 8:00, so 4:30, 4:20 to a little after 8. And it was cool too because like last year I hunted real hard, 5 nights straight, and like I know there's some good times that come in camp after you're tagged out. Getting to run around with the guides and do some baiting and like that's a whole nother part of the trip, and I didn't get to experience it last year because I hunted all 5 nights. So this year there was a little incentive, like let's get this tag punch and let's have some fun, So
Bear camp. And just hunting the afternoon and being able to not do anything in the morning and chill and hang out.
Oh, we stayed busy in the morning.
I bet.
100%.
So who shot next after Stevie shot?
I shot on Tuesday.
You shot
right?
Tuesday?
I think I was the third bear, right?
Yeah. But why don't you take them through a little bit of like your Monday night encounter and how it like played into Tuesday?
So Monday night, the drop me
Oh,
off
let me
second.
grab this real quick. Seth sitting where I hunted last year. So the bait's called Spooky. And I sat in Spooky last year, all 5 nights. They moved the stand, I don't know, a couple 100 yards around the corner, moved the bait, new tree and everything. But so it's like Spooky too. So like I was pumped because like Seth's getting to redeem Spooky for me because I sat there last year. Now he's sitting there this year.
And you sat with the bow last year, right? All
Yeah.
5 days?
Yeah.
So Monday night for me, we drop off Pops. I get to experience like that's the first drop off. So we watch Pops climb the stand and waddle his ass around the pond, climb the ladder. Brian's doing his thing with his cowboy hat, dude. I was like, let's go. It was pretty cool.
Shit everywhere.
Everywhere. That was the first. So first bear anything I saw was dropping Pops off. Like this is the first view of a bait barrel. This is the first view of a setup for bear. This is the first bear activity, like bear shit everywhere. I was like, wow, like we're in bear country now. So that was like minute 1, dropping off Pops. And then they dropped me off second. Like me and Steve fist bump, aim small, fist small. Like I get in stand. They do the thing, thumbs up, drive away. All right, here we are. I didn't see much until about 7:50. I think I saw a small bear come in. The first bear, and exactly like Steve said, is like, oh shit, there's a bear. Like they're so quiet. There's no warm up. There's no like, oh shit, there's one coming. All of a sudden, there's a black shadow walking in.
it's a different feeling watching those animals compared to as a deer hunter. Like, they control their environment much differently than a whitetail does. That's for sure. Like, they just have a different aura, a different vibe about them. It's obviously it's a different species, but it's a different experience being in a tree in the bear woods. I don't know how to describe it, but it was cool. It was a cool feeling. So I didn't pick up the bow for him. I knew enough that, it's got to be at least second ring. You're looking for a top of the barrel. Brian told me I was looking for a dark face on a hot sow, whatever. So, like, I got in a rush just from that first bear coming in. I got to watch him for a little while. I don't know if it was a sow, if it was a young boar, but I know he's a little small. I watched him hit the bait. I got videos of him. Like, I enjoyed the show. I got the experience, like, watching how they move and watching how they interact with their environment and the bait. And I was close enough where I could hear him licking the barrel. Like, that was wild. It was cool. He left, and then at dark, a little bit bigger bear came in. I'm assuming at the time was the sow. She was a little bit bigger than the first one, and she came in and she reacted to her environment differently. And this was right before dark. She was a lot more cautious, a lot more looking around, a lot more looking behind her. She didn't just waltz in, like, not care. So that one got me fired up. I was getting the bow, but I knew I was running out of light. She came and she sat down at the barrel, just head on a swivel the whole time. And then I wasn't watching the clock because I was already standing up, bow in hand, because in my mind, I was expecting the boar to come behind her. So I was watching her for a few minutes, and then I hear a truck in the distance. And that bear would look up to where the truck was coming, look down, take a lick, look up. The whole time, we could hear that truck coming for several hundred yards. And she sat there and, like, kept looking at the direction the noise was coming until that truck was 30 yards away. And then we saw the headlights together at the same time, me and the bear, and she turned and walked into the woods. And then here's Ryan and Stevie. I was like, hey, what's up? Like, holy shit. It was cool. It was different. Like, nothing can prepare you for, like, hunting like that until you do it. It's a different experience. And then I climbed down. They're like, what'd you see? I'm like, I saw bears. And then I walked to the truck. Stevie and Pop's in the truck, and I walk in. And I'm like, well, like, I got one. You did? And Steve's like, yeah, me too. I was like, what? I look in the back of the truck. There's two bears in the bed. Like, holy shit. Yeah, that was night one. Got back to camp, going to the rendezvous. Held the bear, looked at a dead bear. That was wild. Had my first slice of banana bread that night.
First of many.
Yeah, slice of 3 loaves.
4 loaves.
What is the significance of banana bread?
It wasn't a thing until everybody made it a thing. I went through 4 loaves of banana bread
From the gas station, from the Irving.
There was an Irving there. I just stocked up on Celsius's and a banana bread, a loaf of banana bread. Like, I eat a lot. So I just ended up, the first loaf turned into 2 loaves, turned into a 12-pack of banana bread muffins, turned into the 4th loaf by day 4.
It was a 12-pack and a loaf.
It just became a thing. So now, and at the border, like,
yeah, we're coming back. We're fast forwarding, but we're coming back across the border home on the American side, and, like, the guy's like, do you have any fresh food or produce? And I'm like, no, except I think Seth's eating some fresh banana bread in the back seat. And the border agent's like, well, that question didn't go as I expected. We'll just move along. And I'm like, what I said, like, it's fresh bread. Like you said, whatever.
Dude, I pick up the loaf. I was like, here it is. So yeah, it just became a thing. Like, that's it. Canada's banana bread now. Bears and banana bread. So that was.
They're known for their banana bread now.
At least to me, they are. That was pretty good. So that was night one. So Pop, so Steve with the bear, wake up. They did the pictures, the whole 9. Brian's also doubles as a photographer. I didn't know that.
Very best.
Hung out the first morning. Yep, did that. Like, that was pretty cool. Like, it also the whole thing's a learning experience. Like, especially, at least I've never been there before. So, like, the dead bear, like, the process, and, like, it's all new. So from the minute you got into camp, nothing was routine. Everything's new the entire week. whatever. So it's all fresh. It keeps you on your toes for the first 2 or 3 days because none of it's, it's all something different. Tuesday comes. Now Pops and Steve are dropping me off because they already shot bears. We talked about the site. I had Stevie drop the donuts farther left because I'm right-handed and that stand was set up better for a left-handed shooter. Which was cool because it ended up being a crucial part of my hunt. And Steve has ended up part of it. Like Brian's doing his thing. He drops me off. I climb the tree and like I directed Steve to drop. He dropped the donuts 10 yards to the left. And it brought him, instead of at 21 yards, it brought the donuts to 17 yards and more for a better shot angle. So he leaves, whatever, sitting there. About what time? I shot at 9:16. The bear came out at about 8:45-ish. As soon as I saw the bear, I knew it was bigger than yesterday's bear. He just, the way he walked, had a different gait, had a different stride. The problem was, because we moved the donuts for a better shot opportunity for me, with being a right-handed shooter with the bow, the bait wasn't near the barrel. So he walked up to the barrel, and I remember Brian that morning talking about how immature bear, like if they sit down, like they'll have to climb the barrel to get their head on top of it. And a more mature bear, like they can sit down and their head will clear the barrel, or however he worded it. And like that was in my head. The bear walked by the barrel for a split second, and his head like went over the top of it just to like check without having to pick his body up. And I was like, oh shit, like that's a good bear. And then he walked by it broadside right by the barrel. And so I got like a second to determine how big this bear was using the barrel as a reference. So like new bear hunter, petrified to shoot a sow or a small bear, like no pressure. And then he walked right to the donuts. Like now he's broadside. I'm standing up crooked. The bow's not in my hand. He's broadside at 17 yards. And I don't know if this is a shooter or not. I think it's a shooter, but am I being excited? That was like a dramatic dilemma for 15 to 20 minutes. I decided, I was like, listen, my grandfather's in my ear, like, don't like shoot it. Like, why aren't you going to shoot it? Like, why would you pass it on Tuesday and you're going to shoot it Friday? So like, I was like, what if this is the only opportunity? Like, is that a good bear? Like, is Brian going to be pissed I didn't shoot it? Like, all these things are racing in my mind. It was stressful. It was like making that decision was stressful at 17 yards. So this is a double ladder stand they had me in. And then it wasn't one that Steve and I set up. Let's keep that in mind. So, and I had already known, I told myself I was going to stand up for the last hour of shooting light because every time I shift my weight, the stand would shift and it would squeak. So now this bear is at 17 yards. I'm standing up. I'm trying to lean back to get my bow. And this bear looks at me. Every inch I moved, that bear would look at me. And like, he knew I was there, 100% knew I was there. He's like, what's up? And like, now I'm leaning backwards. I'm trying to get my bow. My hands all cockeyed on my string. I'm trying to grab the grip. And literally, it took 15 minutes for me to grab my bow because every inch I moved, he would look back at me and like, you comfortable? Like, what are you doing? It was cool. It was something. So he 100% knew I was there. He was just comfortable. Didn't give a shit I was there, whatever it was. I grabbed the bow. And now I'm, left shoulder towards the target. I got my bow in my hand. Like, am I shooting this bear? The bear lays down. And I'm watching him. He's like choking on the donuts. He's swallowing it so fast. Like he's gurgling, he's grunting, he's growling. At 17 yards, this is my closest experience with a bear. Wild. My left foot is bouncing like I'm a tap dancer. Like it was cool, man. So luckily I had to it took me a while to get my bow because it would let me calm down a little bit. It let me like assess the situation. I was like, dude, I think that's a shooter. I think it's a boar. Like I'm looking at its hips, I'm looking at everything else, I'm looking at its snout, like it looked like a dark face, just stress, but like awesome. The thing lays down, quartering away from me. He lays down, ass towards me. Now, every once in a while, we'd like look over his shoulder and look at me like, "What's up, buddy?
You got any banana bread up there, bud?"
Right. There's that banana bread.
I decide to shoot it, and he doesn't stand up. Now I know it's I got plenty of light. But it was a little overcast, I believe, that night. It was a little overcast. It was still cool on Tuesday, right? It was still a little cool. So it was a little overcast, and like I was worried about running out of shooting light because the bear's all black. So like as a bow hunter, and like I've been stressing about this for 3 months. Like I want to use my bow. I've been anal about my arrow setup, my broadheads, like all this stuff. Like
what was
all the guides are like, what's that?
What was the broadhead of choice?
Iron Will 125. with my wife and daughter's name inscribed on it.
Tattoo.
Tattooed on it.
Yes. So
But
fun
you
fact.
I gotta cut you off real quick. Like up until what was it? Was it the week before we left, or 2 weekends before we left? When I was up at your house, Memorial Day
It
week.
was the weekend before.
I was at Seth's, and we were like sending broadheads through like Emma's like snow sled, folded in half, and like he's thumping broadheads through like half-inch sheets of plywood, just to like various mechanical broadheads, just to test, right? Like, and I think
So
at the end of the day, we're like, you really can't. At 17 yards, you can't challenge an iron will for penetration.
So what screwed up this whole situation, as far if we're going to talk about preparation before the shot, I built these arrows specifically for this hunt. I knew I was in my mind, all the research I'd done, it's like 50-50 with bear hunters on the internet. It's some people say, yo, bears are easy to kill, big giant broadhead for blood. Mechanical is no problem. Like you want a big hole, yada yada. The other 50% of the world is absolutely no mechanicals, fixed blade only. You need 2 holes. 2 small holes are better than 1 big hole. So what do? I made up my mind. I was like, listen, the best chance for 2 holes is a fixed blade. It's going to be known yardage. It's going to be close shot. As a deer hunter, I hug the shoulder a lot. So like I'm a little nervous, that force of habit, I'm going to hug the shoulder of a bear. So I'm thinking fixed blade. So I bought like 18 different fixed blades, like the best ones on the market. I tested every single one of them all for months. I'm testing flight. I'm testing penetration. I'm changing my arrow configuration, different 3 vanes, 4 vanes, small profile, big profile, shield cut, not shield cut, whatever. I played with all this. I end up on the Iron Will 125 vented because it was the most accurate and it penetrated the best. And it's the most goddamn expensive. So if I was going to justify trying the broadhead for a hunt, it was going to be a Canadian black bear. So I made my mind up, and then I'm talking to Brian on Facebook, and he's like, "Yeah, man, mechanicals all day long. Like, don't even play with a fixed blade." And I'm like, "Shit!" Threw my whole world, blew my world up. I was all screwed up because I'm a mechanical guy. So Stevie came down. We're testing some. And long story short, I brought 2 fixed blades and 2 mechanicals in my quiver. I told myself if it was under 20 yards, the bait, I was going to use a fixed blade. If it was farther than that for a better shot and accuracy, I was going to run a mechanical. That's how I justified it. Fast forward to Tuesday, the donuts are 17 yards, the barrel's at 21 yards. I got the iron will in my arrow. Also, embarrassingly enough, I finished that tattoo with an iron will broadhead on it before I killed anything with the broadhead. So Stevie's been busting my ass about it for months. So like I brought the tattoo artist an arrow that I built with an iron will on it, and she's like, "Oh, this is the prettiest for a tattoo. Like this looks the best. Like why don't we do that?" I was like, "Definitely. It's the sexiest broadhead I own." I never hunted with it, never killed with it. So I have a broadhead tattooed on my body that I've never hunted with. So like nobody else would know, but like I know, and Stevie knows, and he's busting my ass about it. So like in the back of my mind, I'm like, how do I not kill a bear with this broadhead? That's tattooed on me.
That's like getting a bear tattoo and you never killed a bear.
Exactly. That's like whatever. So all this is happening. Fast forward to Tuesday. The bear's on at 17 yards. He lays down. I got the iron will on my bow. I'm ready to go. I decide to shoot it. Now he's laying down. Now again, another stressful situation. Everything you look up, all the research you do, all the guides, wait for a good shot. Wait for the broadside shot because you want to with both lungs. You don't want to hit the offside shoulder. Deer hunter, you aim for the exit. You aim for that offside shoulder. You're going to smoke the organs. You're going to blow through it. Beautiful. So here we are. But now I'm worried about it getting light, like darker, faster. And I'm worried about not seeing that body composition because the black fur and the fading light. Well, he kept like using his offside shoulder to scoop donuts and pull it towards him. So I was able to use that to like determine where my aiming point was. Whatever. I finally come to full draw. I pick a spot. I let it fly. Blows through it like butter. He runs off. Does a little loop. I wait. I don't know. I have it on GoPro video. It's like 30 seconds in. All of a sudden, I hear the death moan. That was it, dude. I lost it. Like legs shaking. Like yes, freaking out. Trying to get the radio. Like hello, I got a bear, dead bear. Nobody's answering at first. I was fumbling my words, dude. It was wild.
No, it was sweet because it was getting to be that magical hour of, fading light. And I'm with Brian, and Dad was with Tom in another truck. So we were sitting at the head of the road that leads to Seth's bait, because Seth was really the only person we had to pick up that night. So we were sitting there, and so I don't think we said this earlier. Everyone gets a two-way radio. You leave it off in your backpack. After you shoot, you turn it on. You try to call somebody. You're probably not going to get anyone. But every hour or so, the guys will drive by within radio distance, and they'll radio check you. And if your radio's on, you can be like, hey, I shot one. So we had just checked Seth half an hour, 45 minutes earlier, and then we eased down the road, and we were sitting at the head of Seth's road. Tom and Dad pulled up, and we're sitting there just talking or whatever. And I think Brian had his radio off for some reason, and Tom's radio started going. Tom's like, someone's trying to get a hold of us. So Brian turned his radio on real quick, and all I hear is, it's Seth, bear, dead bear. And we're like, dude, he said dead bear. He didn't say I shot one or whatever, arrow. I just sent an arrow. He said dead bear. That's got to be good, right? So we were jacked up. So started the truck, and we were there within minutes, I would say. 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. It was it was like
drive in that road. Well, Dad jumped out of Tom's truck and jumped in the back with us. So it was me. So that was the other cool thing about tagging out early. I'm tagged out, Dad's tagged out. Now, Seth said earlier, I got to dump the bait for Seth Tuesday night. I dumped the bait that Seth killed over, and then a couple hours later, Seth shoots, and I get to be there for the recovery and all that, which is just awesome, right? Which I wouldn't have been able to do if I was on stand myself.
You and Pops being there definitely helped make that whole thing an experience for sure.
That's 50% of the whole entire week, I think. After you hunt and do everything, and then when you do tag out, then you get to ride around. I got to ride around with Yukon. He's a character in himself. When you saw him, you and I spent 2 afternoons with him. 12 hours of riding around doing bait. I think that was probably 50% or 60% of the whole week. That was that. To explain it, to sit there and go to the different baits and do all the stuff, and you pull up to a bait and there's a bear on the bait, and you're getting out. You don't have a weapon with you. Yukon's got a hatchet with him, and I'm like, the hatchet's gonna help me. I don't know if that was gonna work, but that's the best part, I think. I mean, yeah, the hunting was great, but just to hang around with the dudes up there, that the outfitters was. The guides was so much fun.
How many times you get in the truck with Yukon? He goes, buddy, I love bear hunting. I love killing bears.
50 times. I'm so jacked. I just love bear hunting. That's all he said. I'm so jacked. I just love bear hunting.
It's true though.
He's a riot.
So let's get to this recovery of this bear, Seth, because I think it was one of my highlights of the trip.
All right, so the reinforcements show up. Pops is more excited than everybody, dude. He was freaking awesome, man. Give me a big hug and shit, dude. He was pumped. It was awesome. It was a good time. Hug the boys. Brian's the big one. Good shot. Pass through. And I'm I pointed the arrow, pass through. I didn't even pick up the arrow yet, and Brian's already running in the woods trying to find the bear. No blood in the shot. So now I'm nervous because the guide and the owner.
But you did have a death moan, which is always a good settling feeling.
I heard that 3 times. So I know it's a dead bear, right? But still nervous because one, all the guides are fucking bow hunters the whole week. The whole time we're there, every day they're complaining about bow hunters. So I'm stressed to make a good shot, number one. And then I'm worried shit, I hope this bear isn't 50 pounds. You know what I mean? And I'm worried about the broadhead choice because the owner of the place told me not to use a fixed blade, to use a mechanical. So I'm hoping for the best because shit, he's going to be pissed. Whatever. So I'm looking for blood. I pick up the arrow, dude. I'm anal about that shit. So I pick up the arrow. I'm looking for blood. I'm trying to what are we looking for here? We walk into the woods, no blood, no blood. Finally, Pops is oh, I got blood. And then here goes Brian. I got the bear. And I was like, shit.
He just sniffs them out, dude. He's like, I think he's just like blood tracking dog, dude.
Bloodhound?
He just, he don't need blood. Brian just goes finds that thing.
Yeah.
He did the
so
same with my bear. Brian just walked straight to my bear. Just
maybe
got
he
it.
smells them. He smells them.
I think he smells them. 100%.
So yeah, so we found a bear on the ground. Like, it's not 50 pounds. Brian's like, dude, that's a good bear.
It's
I'm
so.
like, look at Steve. I was like,
Is it really? Is it, be honest, is it a good bear? I'm like, dude, that's a good bear. He's like, no, is it really a good bear? Don't lie to me.
I was so worried about shooting the bad bear. He's like, it's a boar. I was like, yes. Yeah, that was cool, man.
Did you get a swizzle stick?
Yes,
Well,
I
he
did.
left it in Canada because you can't bring them across the border, but
Can't bring
Sure,
swizzle
that's
sticks
true.
back?
no, it's a bone.
So every time I have a mixed drink, I got to go to Canada to mix it.
Yeah.
Can he send it in the mail? You think that would be legal for him to just send it in the mail? A swizzle stick?
No, they got a little shelf. You got your like your little cubby for your swizzle stick. So when he goes back next year, you can use the swizzle stick again.
Hey, not for nothing though. It's a good size swizzle stick.
It's a pretty good size. My swizzle stick's big too. It's around here somewhere.
Oh, you got it at home?
I got one back in the day when you could bring them back.
Oh,
Mine's 20 years old.
you have a 20-year-old.
Your swizzle stick needs a honey pack now.
No, it don't. That shit stays. Anyways, it's around here somewhere. But anyways, let me get the story going. So Brian I don't remember what happened. I think we were still standing by the bear checking him out, and Brian disappears, and he comes back. Brian's like, maybe the bear didn't go far. I mean, it's 100 yards from the truck. Not even, I don't think. Anyways, we look up, and here comes Brian. He's got the jet sled, and says like, "You don't need that sled." And Brian's like, "What?" He's like, "You don't need that sled." And like Brian's confused and says like, "I'm carrying it out on my back." And Brian's like, "Get out." Like, hold on.
So my grandfather shows me a Polaroid of him in Canada 30, 40 years ago, carrying a bear on his shoulders through a swamp. And like now I go to Canada, I can't come home without carrying this bear out. Like you would judge me forever. So like I was like, dude, I don't care if I carry this thing 10 feet. He's like, dude, it's a big bear. Like it's heavier than a deer. I was like, I don't care if I carry it 10 feet. Like I need a picture of me carrying this bear. Like I can't go home to Gramps and not carry this bear.
He's looking on the swizzle sticks.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. I'll find it.
Whatever, man. So I jump on the ground, like I give Pops my bow. I jump on the ground, like I wrap his paws around my shoulders. Stevie gives me a little one of these. I stand up. Brian's just laughing at me, and I start hiking, dude. I just walked into the truck. I was so full of adrenaline.
What's it weigh? You think? What was your weight average when you put it on your shoulders?
25-pound dumbbell, dude. Like it was, I didn't even feel it. I was so jacked up. And they carry much better than deer because like you can wrap its paws right around your neck, dude. They carry so well.
They're like soft, like they fall better. It seems like.
Yes.
Like a deer's more
much
rigid.
less awkward.
Yeah.
I would carry a bear over a deer any day of the week. Mind you, my back got a little warm because it poured blood down my back. Poured it. I mean, poured blood.
Sure.
Now I got to get in Brian's truck.
I think that's the only time all week that Brian was a little like, what the fuck, Seth? like he don't care about the outside of his truck, beats the brakes off of it, the bed, but the cab is like, don't get no blood inside my truck.
And it's just this Portuguese asshole covered in blood sitting in the back seat.
Because you couldn't use
I took my clothes off.
Yeah.
I took my clothes off. Like my pants are on my ankles and my shirt was off. We picked up Maddie and I'm naked in the back seat. I'm naked. And I'm like covering my knock with my hand that's lit up. And he gets in and he looks, he's like, "Why are you naked?"
Shot fired. Gotta go. Brian.
But yeah, man, it was a wild experience. That was realistically, that was not like that was my highlight of the night. Like that was not the night highlight.
Yeah,
that was definitely a high spot for me, but the adventure didn't even start yet.
Chris,
take us into it.
I mean, yeah, we could start from Monday. So like same thing, get in the truck, not knowing what to expect. There's 4 guys in Johnny's truck, and we get in there, and Johnny's like, sit in the front because you're going to get dropped off first. So I was like, all right. I'm like, whatever. Got my gun, got all my stuff. And we get in the truck, you pull out, and like, you're like, this is really, we're really going to do this. Like, we've been talking about it for a year. Like, now it's really, it's coming. So we go through the gate, and same thing, like Steve says, like, it feels like they just beat the brakes off those things up there. I mean, they're hammering down, hitting potholes. Like, it feels like they're doing like 80 down these dirt roads.
Kilometers a month.
Yeah.
8 kilometers.
So like, we get down, and then we just turn off the main road, and Johnny's like, yeah, you're up here. I'm like, all right. I'm going to this bait. They call it 3M. So I'm going up there, and we're going up the road, and we come around the corner, and one of those like machines, they're cutting the roads back, So we sit there, we wait. He's cutting the road back. Finally realizes, like, we're sitting there waiting. So he lets us around. We go around. So now in the back of my head, I'm like, a lot of activity, but I mean, hey, the Bears maybe the Bears don't care. Maybe they're used to it. So we go up, we turn the corner again, and I'm like, man, where's this bait? Like, it feels like we've been riding in the truck for like half hour, And we go around, and the guy's truck was there, and Johnny's like, yeah, the guy's he's got to come right to this section here. I'm like, all right, no big deal. So we get up, go down around, we get to the bait, finally get to the bait, and we get out, and we get all set, get up in the stand, and they do the bait, and same thing, give them thumbs up. Like Steve says, they drive off, and you hear the truck driving off, and you're like, it's go time. Like, it's like, we're here to kill some bears, and me not ever seeing a bear in a while. Like, I don't know what to expect, and they're saying that they're going to come in from one way or come in from the other way. I'm like, so I'm just sitting there, like, just taking it all in, and the bugs weren't really that bad at that point. Like, there was probably non-existent with the bugs. So I'm like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is great. And I'm sitting there probably like an hour later, like, I can hear the guy that was cutting the road back, like, the machine's getting closer, like, real close. And as I'm sitting there and I look down the logging road, like, I could see him, like, trimming the road back, like, on my side. And I was like, well, I said, if this guy gets any closer, I got to get out of the stand. And, like, I got to know that I'm here. The guy doesn't know that I realize I'm sitting in the deer stand, like, 20 yards off the logging road. He's coming down, and like, he drives past me, and like, the machine's like right in front of me. Like, it's the blade spin. I'm like, well, I don't even know what's even going on here. Like, what is even happening? And he goes up, and he trims up the road, and no more than a split second, like, here comes Brian just motoring down the logging road, and Johnny's in the passenger seat, and this guy Steve is in the back, and they're like, we're going to take you to a new bait. So I was like, all right. So I'm getting my stuff together, and then Brian comes to the base of the stand, and he's like, I think you should stay here. You got 4 more hours left. He's like, there's a good bear coming to this bait. We got, a good side of that coming. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's Monday. Like, whatever. Like, I'm good. Like, we'll stay here. I'm like, what else am I going to do? Go to another bait? So they leave, and the guy drives the machine back by me, and parks it back up by his truck, and then it got quiet. Like, everything was all done, noise was all done. I want to say it was like probably right after 5 o'clock, quarter to 6. I sat there, nothing happening, and then at like 8:30, I'm looking at the bait, and like the shadows start to like cast over top of the bait, and it starts to get that perfect time, and like out of nowhere's like bear pops right out of the woods, like right behind the bait, and I was like, holy shit! Like it finally, like, I saw a bear, like like I didn't think I was gonna see a bear, and you're just sitting there watching this thing, and it didn't. I don't think it knew I was there. I mean, I was tucked in pretty good into the spruce trees, and so I'm like, all right, well, yeah, everybody said don't shoot first bear on the first night unless it's just an absolute like giant, like it's over the barrel, it makes the barrel look small. I was like, all right, so I videoed the bear, and I was like, well, I'll show this to Steve, and I'll show it to Brian, and make sure like we can gauge this like the size, because I don't know what's a big bear, what's a small bear. So the bear does this thing for probably 45 minutes, and then off it goes back up into the cut, and it gets past the legal shooting light, which is I think like 9:41, and then we're sitting there, and those Johnny had to pick up the other two guys, and I was the last pickup. So I'm sitting there, and now it's like 10:15, like 20:10, like 10:30. And like, I'm not afraid of the dark, but I'm like, they're going to come pick me up, right? Like, they didn't forget about me. And all of a sudden, here comes Johnny. Like, he's motoring down the log of the road. And like Steve said, he goes, don't like put your stuff together or make any noise. Like, wait till the truck pulls up to you, and then like put your gun, like put your stuff, like then you can make the noise. The bears are more comfortable with that. So I was like, all right. So they pull up and get all my stuff together, and now it's like jet blackout. Like you couldn't see a foot in front of you. They get in the truck, and they all ask you what you saw, and they're all laughing because of the machine driving, like, and I was like, so we get in the truck, we go back, we meet Steve at the rendezvous and all those guys, and Steve had his bear, we looked at that, and, we get back to camp, and and I showed Brian like the picture of the bear, and he's like, yeah, it's good pass for the first night, like decent bear. Like if you see that bear later in the week, that's probably a good shooter. So I was like, all right, showed Steve. Steve's like, great pass, like good pass, to the second ring, maybe a little more. So we all kind of talked and hung around. They were, weighing Steve's bear and Pops' bear, and like it was just the camaraderie was like phenomenal. Like just to hang out and talk to everybody, and we're all having a good time. So, that was Monday, and then Tuesday we're all sitting around in the morning, and Brian's like, yeah, I'm not going to send you to that bait. He goes, they're going to be back up in there cutting. I'm going to send you to another bait. It's a ride to get out there. I was like, all right, whatever. It's your call. Like, I don't know.
You already thought you had a ride the night before. You're like, what? How much farther can it be?
Right, exactly. I'm like, all right, ride. Like, well, I mean, how far a ride? He's like, no, it's Chris. It's a ride, And he's like, you're gonna go with Yukon. Yukon's gonna take you out there. So I'm like, all right, 10-4. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, whatever. So that was the last one to get dropped off. We dropped off a father and son first, and like we're going down this log road, and we're just beating the fenders off the truck, getting in there, and I'm like, all right, like this is pretty gnarly. Like, I mean, this is an experience, And we dropped those guys off, and then Yukon says to me, he's like, yeah, we still got like another like 20-minute ride to get to where you're gonna go. And I'm like, all right, like whatever, like I'm ready. So we get in there, we're driving down this logger road, we're driving. Finally, like the logger road ends, and like you could see the barrel, bait barrel. So I go get up in the stand. He shows me where it is. Get up in the stand, like great look. I mean, phenomenal. Like everything about like the scenery, like the sun wasn't on you. It was behind me, so it was the casting shadows. Like awesome, like awesome bait. You're sitting there, and same thing. Like Seth said, like 6 hours. Like I'm used to sitting all day in the stand, like deer hunting. But like 6 hours. You're sitting there, like your ass is starting to get like numb, like, because you're trying not to move, and after about like the fourth hour, you're like, man, I gotta like stand up, or I gotta do something. Like this is killing me. So that night, so Tuesday night, I'm sitting there, and about 8:30, bear, same thing, just like appears. Like I don't know how a bear like that size just magically just like you look there 1 minute, and then like you blink your eyes, and like there's this black bear standing at the bait, like just eat. It's got a face full of donuts. So that bear it looked like it was a smaller boar, and that bear just like was in there for 15, 20 minutes, just stuffing its face as fast as it could get donuts in there. And all of a sudden that bear like come around the barrel and like ran up into the woods. And like it was up in the woods, like
Fucked
it
off.
was weird. It was like barking or grunting, or it was making this noise. And like 10 minutes later, like I look over and it was just a giant comes through the spruce trees. It was so big that it like pushed the branches out, how big it was. And there was no question of that was the bear that Brian had showed me on his phone. Like, no question. Like, big basketball head. Its ears looked like they were like miniature ears on its head. It was the bear was so big. Big V, big chevron on its chest, all white. So me thinking, like deer hunt wise, you don't have much time. Like that bear is gonna like do what it's gonna do. That bear is never not thinking like that bear is gonna that's its bait. It's gonna stay there. That bear stood there for like 10 minutes, like kind of quartering hard to me, had no shot. Now what's going through my brain is like I came to a gunfight with a BB gun. Like I don't have a big enough gun for this like 400-pound bear that's like standing 40 yards in front of me. I'm thinking like I'm gonna try to shoot this thing with a with like a 30-30, like, and the bear turns hard, like turns quick, and like was gonna go take off, and then like stopped, and like I don't know if maybe I didn't think it saw me, maybe I moved, I don't know. I was so jacked up because I got like this giant bear standing there, and it turns back around and like comes back to the donuts, back to the bait, and it's like licking the side of the barrel, and like it seemed like it was. Now that I think about it, it was very comfortable what it was doing, and it gave me it came to me, and I said, well, the only thing I'm thinking is I gotta shoot this bear like where its neck goes into its head. Like right there behind the eye, like shoot it, flip the switch, shut it off. This bear is going to hit the ground. I'm never going to have to check. I mean, I don't know how even if it would have ran off and died in the woods, I don't know how we would have got it to the truck anyways. So I shoot, boom, bear hits the ground like he flipped the switch off. Legs out from underneath of it, hits the ground. And like I stopped for like 30 seconds and like, did that just happen? Like, did that literally just happen? I was in a stand 2 days and I shot, probably a Pope and Young type bear, and it just laid there. And I was like, I looked through the scope again, wasn't twitching, wasn't moving, wasn't rolling around. I'm like, I must have hit it where I wanted to. Like it didn't move. So I take the shell out of the gun, put another shell in the gun, put the gun back up on like the safety or the armrest there, the gun rest, shooting rest. And I'm getting like all my stuff together because now it's like quarter after, like 9:30-ish. Grab the radio, hit the call button a couple times, and Yukon comes right back like, is that you, Chris? Is that you? And I'm like, yeah, I shot a bear. He's like, all right. And he's hammering down the dirt road, like trying to get to me. Hammering, comes down in. So while he's coming down in, this bear gets up and just starts like thrashing, knocks the barrel, goes through the spruce trees. As I'm watching the blood just pump out of the side of the bear, goes through the spruce trees, comes around, and I'm just sitting there. My gun's on the rest. Like, I don't even, like, I should have shot the bear again. And then it goes through, and it goes up into the woods, and it gets tangled up into this down blow, and it's groaning and it's roaring and it's breathing heavy, and then it goes down around, and it's like it sounds like you're driving a truck through the woods. Like that's the type of noise it was making. So then all of a sudden I didn't hear it. So I was like, oh, maybe hoping, fingers crossed, like it got tangled up and that's where it's laying over there 100 yards away. Yukon comes down, stops in front of me, and I'm just like, I probably was as white as a ghost. I didn't even know what was going on. He's like, "Where's the bear?" And I'm like, it ran over there. So we walked to the bait, and there's blood everywhere. Like blood everywhere. Yukon's like, dead bear. Like that was what he kept saying. So we follow it around. We get down in some, now like he's got a hatchet. Like this bear like gets up, huge bear. Like he said, he's like, I'll bury the thing in its skull. I'm like, all right, I'm staying behind you. I don't know what to do. Like I don't even know what's even going on. Like I don't even know what's going on. And so he's like, let's back out. Let's get, the guys. We'll come back. I got to get the father and son out of the blind. I can't leave him in there. So I'm like, all right. So all along, like, I still don't, like, it's not registering in my brain, like, what's even going on. We go get the father and son. We go meet Brian and Steve and Seth. Find out Seth, he got his bear. And Brian's like talking to, Yukon, and Brian's like, get in the truck, Chris. We're going to go find the bear. So I'm like, okay, get out of one truck, get in Brian's truck.
Yeah.
Hammer back down to,
Let me jump in real quick. So Chris is still in the truck with Yukon and the mother guys. My truck's Brian, me, Seth, and Maddie. And like, we met there at the fork in the road, got the story, whatever. We're heading back to camp, and like we went a little ways, like I would say a mile or two.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It seemed like we were heading to camp. And all of a sudden, Brian just stops the truck, and he's like, "You boys want to go find that bear tonight?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "It's so far in there, like let's just go get it tonight. Let's be done with it." So he gets Chris. He's like, Chris, come on, get in. You're getting in with me. So, okay. So Chris jumps in. So now it's Brian and me in the front seat, Chris, Maddie, and Seth in the back seat. Yeah. We're going back in for Chris's bear, dude. And it's like,
that's a crew.
What is it now? Maybe 11 o'clock?
Oh yeah. It's all of 11. We get, so then like Brian just blows it around. We go back. Now we're probably 25 minutes. Feels like, I don't even know.
All of that, bro.
Yeah, back to to the bait. So we get down in there, and we get out of the truck. We get down in there. We go to the bait.
Anything we can get our hands on. Like we're looking for the biggest. What do you got in this truck, Brian? Like you got like axes, knives,
like it's pitch black.
Just armor up, dude. Like would have thought it was like the zombie apocalypse. We're just grabbing weapons and flashlights.
Right. It was insane. Like we all had flashlights. We go in there, and Brian sees the blood. He's like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "Amazing blood," and it was too. Like I've heard the stories of like you shoot the bear and the bear goes 50, 100 yards and you lose blood because whatever it is, fat plugs the hole, or intestines plugs the hole, or just like the overall just fur of the bear, just like it's just saturated and it's not dripping anymore. There's blood all the way down. I mean, this bear was going through stuff that you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. It was smashing over trees, stumps, going down into like, it was probably the most gnarliest thing I've ever gotten into. And now it's just not me. Steve's there, Maddie's there, Seth's there, Brian's there. Like we climb over one of these stumps. That son of a bitch is laying there waiting for us, and it just like jumps up. We're no match for it. Like, we're no match for it. It's just it's gonna beat the drums off of every one of us,
I don't think it's one of those things like pretty much all of Canada. You can't explain it unless you're there. Like you can't explain how thick the woods were this bear was running through. Yeah. Like over shit, through shit, like we were struggling to get through it, and like we're thinking about a 400-pound bear, like over deadfalls and through shit, and like how, and like the blood, like I'm talking buckets of blood. There's blood everywhere.
And so we followed the bear like another 150 yards in the pitch black, right? We got lights, and we go down in there, and Brian's like, he's like, I don't know. Like, we thought we found a spot where the bear bedded down, and we might have jumped it. And like Brian had this look in his face, like, we'll just come back in the morning, the bear is gonna be dead. I'm like, all right. I'm like, you do this, like you killed 100 bears. Like I don't, like I don't know. So so now we hike up out of this. I mean, we were in a piece of land I don't think a man's ever touched foot on, like never walked it. And so we get back up out of there. We're all like just looking for everything that we could. I mean, it's hot. It's like now it's like what, like 2:00 in the morning. We get back in the truck and we just like we go back to camp. So Brian's like, we'll hit it hard after breakfast. I'm like, all right. So we get all our stuff together right after breakfast, and we go back in there, and the bugs were like trying to pick you up and take you away. That's how bad like I had my thermocell clipped to my backpack strap, just huffing the permethrin because the bugs were so bad. They were bad. It felt like 3 million of them flying around your head at all times. So like now, of course, it's been cool all week. So then Wednesday morning, it feels like it's 95 degrees out, right? So we get back down on the blood and we literally grid searched and went through all the way to the river. I mean, we found an insane amount of moose stuff and like a dead moose carcass. And like we followed this bear. The bear was getting like underneath of the down cedar trees, and it was like chewing on the roots and the tree, and the ground was just like you took a
it looked like a circle around a trap. Like when you catch a coyote and you just got that ring around it. Just
it was full of blood.
Bare ground. No leaves, no pine needles, just like you just sat there and just thrashed.
Just a big kill circle.
Just a kill circle. And then you'd have like a kill circle under a deadfall, and then you'd find where you like come up out of there, and then on the other side you get back down, and then there'd be another kill circle. And he'd fuck that all up, and then he'd go, and then there's like probably like 3 or 4 of them in a row. Yeah. And like at that point I was like, I looked at Brian and I was like, this bear's either dead right here because he's bedding down, he's got enough energy to get up, and he can only go 10 yards, and he's bedding down again, like he's running out of steam. He's either going to be dead within the next 50 yards, or we're going to lose blood in the next 50 yards because he's either running out of steam, or all this thrashing around is dirt and pine needles and all that shit's going to start wiping the blood off the fur and plugging up the hole and clotting up or whatever. It's like one or the other. Like this blood show's ending here. It's either going to be a dead bear or there's going to be no blood. One of the two.
And that's what he's trying to do, is clot it up.
Yep. And that's what happened. We went from like buckets of paint, like you were spraying it all over the place, all these different spots where he was bedding down, to like nothing, to like 0 blood. Just like it was like you picked them up and took them away. That was it. And we come up out of there, and it was, I don't know, we were soaked. We were, of course, Seth, he didn't want to go on that excursion. He had to stay back and cut up his bear, which I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing, but we kind of rode him a little bit, about it. Like if we told him if we had another person, we probably could have found it, But
he's like, he was so torn between going and helping because he's now vested in finding Chris's bear, to doing the whole autopsy report on his bear because he wants to see the entry wound and the exit wound and all that stuff. That's what he does, right? So he was like really torn between what he was going to do in the morning. And Dad was the one that like kind of figured it out. And he's like, you better tell Seth, he don't have to go with you guys. Like, it's okay for him to stay with his bear. So I was like, all right, yeah. So I go to Seth. We're sitting on the porch of our little cabin. And I was like, hey, Seth, like, you don't feel obligated to go. Like, we got enough guys. Like, Yukon's coming, me, Maddie, Chris, Brian. Like, we don't need you, dude. Stay with your bear. Enjoy your bear. Like, do what you got to do with your bear. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that, because I've been like worried sick about it, and like I didn't know what to do. Like, thank you for telling me that. And I was like, yeah, dude, like do what you got to do. So Seth like goes into his cabin and like, or our cabin, and he comes back out a couple minutes later. I was like, did you decide what you're gonna do? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay with my bear. And I was like, I can't believe that's the decision you made. Like, really? Like, I didn't really think you were gonna make it. He's like, fuck,
Really, that's wrong. Like, we need you. You know, what happens if we find it? How are we going to get it out of there? You
we
know?
need you to carry Chris's bear out on your back.
Yeah, that would have been it. Even if we skinned the bear out, I don't know, like how we would have even got. I don't even know. We would have had to take turns, like to even get the bear. It would have took all 5 of us to get the bear probably out of there.
Where that bear, if that bear died where we lost blood, that bear's coming out in quarters. There's no way you're getting that bear out whole.
I don't even know. Even quarters, it would have been. We'd have been dying.
Josh Bomar and Cam Haynes couldn't have got that bear out whole.
How far from the bait was the last blood?
So I had the inReach tracking Tuesday, the night he shot, and it had us at a quarter mile. And I think last blood was a mile, maybe something like that.
Easily.
And that is like 25 miles on flat prairie.
This isn't an easy mile vegetation wise.
It was like
it was all downhill.
Like that.
So coming back out, it's like straight uphill through the. I mean, I don't know how to like not exaggerate, dude. It was like the nastiest timber vegetation you can imagine. Just
and wet and soaking wet. Like the mud was up to your thigh. That's how it freaking some spots how muddy it was. We were covered in mud. And then like you come out to like the bait, and you just get mobbed by the flies because you're just like 1,000,000 degrees. We were like, it felt like you're in a sauna and we're soaked. And you know, first thing like Matty does, like he rips his shirt off, you know, and then the bugs are just like, he's like, I don't care, like I'm dying, you know. And then on top of it, I felt like a real heel because the Tuesday night, like Matty loses his like Benchmade knife, you know. And he's like, oh, I lost my knife. And I was like, dude, seriously? Like, on top of, like, all the other nonsense that's going on? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to get home buying you a brand new knife. Like, I'm just going to buy you a knife. So we get back, and Yukon looks down, and he's like, oh, hey, Matty, like, I found your knife. It was, like, laying right on the logging road. I was like, at least there's something good out of this whole entire day, you know, that we didn't completely just shit on everything, you know. But that, and then like after that, everybody's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm like, it's hunting. Like, you know, I made a dumb decision. You get dumb results, you know, and that's just how it is. Like, if now I know, and like I talked to Brian, and like Brian like told me, like, he goes, listen, like that was his bait. You know, like if he would have left, you could have went back on Wednesday and he probably would have came back. Like, that's like, he's the king of that bait. Like, there's no question about it. Like, he wasn't going anywhere. It's like, we have all kinds of trail camera photos of him. Like, he was going to come back, right? And if I'd have known all of this, like, you know, it would have put my mind probably at a little more of ease than it was. But, you know, you make dumb decisions, you get dumb results, you know? I mean, that's why I'm going back next year, so I can blast another one, like, I can get my hands on it.
I think what it is, and like, I mean, I've been to bear camp enough, like you see it quite often, and like you 100% handled it like a champ, like wholeheartedly. But I think what it is like, there's a lot of pressure on that hunt, right? Like you're paying for the hunt, so you got good money invested, you've got time invested, you're all the way up there. There's the pressure of a 5-day hunt. You got 5 days to get it done, and then, but I think like the biggest thing that people don't understand or think about is, we're deer hunters, right? We spend all fall sitting in the tree waiting for like a shot at our target buck that we might not see. And then like he shows up, and like we've all had it happen. Our target buck shows up, we see him one time and we never see him again. It's like,
yeah,
you get that
absolutely.
one chance at that deer. And I think what happens is you're getting the bear stand, and that mega giant shows up, and your brain's just wired to like, oh shit, now or never. If I don't shoot him now, I'm never going to see him again. That's the deer hunter in you. And you don't stop and think, like Brian said, like, this is his home. Like, he's here all the time. He's going to come back. Like, if you didn't spook him and you didn't contribute to him wanting to leave, he ain't going nowhere. If it's not tonight, you're going to see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
And that's the thing, you know, like when that bear turned around, I was like, oh shit. Like, you know, not knowing that bear could have picked up the scent somewheres and then walked in. Like you say, you're thinking like a deer hunter, you know, like he picked up that scent, he's coming through, that deer that bear could have lived somewhere else, and now he's here and he could be gone. Like, so that's what I was thinking, you know, instead of just being like, calm down, you know, of course you got general, you know, the adrenaline's just pouring through you. And instead of just letting him come in, get broadside, it would have been hard to pick a definitive, like cut him in half and like cut him in half again and like pull forward, because he was just like all like one size. Like he was as wide as he was tall. His stomach was almost dragging on the ground. And I don't know where his front shoulder to his hind quarter would have, you know, at that point, like you could have saw it if he was turned one way or another, but it would have been hard to, and like me thinking not having enough caliber, enough gun. If I don't hit this bear like right in the heart, you know, this thing's gonna run for miles, and instead it did the same exact thing. So, like, you know, knowing what I know now, be way different outcome. I can tell you that.
That only comes from experience in bear camp, and like obviously this is your first time, right? So like, where do you draw your experience from? But like, you almost have to find a way to switch modes, like deer hunting mode and like bear hunting modes, two different kind of.
Yeah. Now I know that. I wish I would have known that, you know, a couple of days ago. I would have been completely different. But yeah, exactly. It just was wild, you know. And then like that was all done and over with, and then Brian's like, "You want to go right around with Yukon?" I'm like, "Sure." And then it was just like after that, I was like, I didn't even care about there. You know, we were just bombing around, freaking putting out bait, and it was awesome. It was freaking awesome.
That's the craziest thing, right? So like all this, everything we've talked about between my bear, Dad's bear, Seth's bear, Chris's 2 stories, whatever. It's not even lunchtime on Wednesday yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're not even to the halfway point of the week yet, and it's like adventure after adventure after adventure after adventure.
You know, you know, like Stevie was saying, he goes, dude, I think sometimes it's better to just ride around, and like I didn't, you know, I just was riding around with Yukon. These cats were all finding paddles everywhere, and you know, they come back and they got like 16 like moose sheds, and I was like, holy shit, like what the hell? Like, you know, I get up on top of this mountain and like my phone starts going crazy, you know, because I got cell service finally, you know. And then Steve sends me a thing on Facebook, you know, a messenger. He's got these 2 humongous, you know, boards he's holding up, and he's like, I was like, holy shit, look at these things, you know. But yeah, it's just awesome week, man. It's phenomenal. Like you can't ask for anything better. Like realistically, you can't ask for anything better. It wasn't even like the money, yeah, like that's fine, but it just was the overall experience of just being up there, you know, different culture, different way of like thinking, like they're also laid back and they're just like, hey, whatever, you know.
It doesn't suck.
No. There was no suck about it.
No
suck about it.
You know, like one of the things we talked about up there is like, you know, anytime you go on like an outfitted hunt, you know, you're paying for a hunt and a service or whatever. And a lot of people are like, how much for this? You know, and you tell them the price and they're like, oh, you pay that much for a bear, or you pay that much for whatever animal, right? Like for bear in this case, like it's like, yeah, but you're looking at it wrong. Like you're not paying X amount of dollars just to shoot a bear. Like you're paying for an experience. You're paying for an adventure, right? Like it's not show up, shoot a bear, go home. Money for bear. Like you're paying for like the whole experience of the week, and like you said, it's bear hunting, baiting, tracking your bear, finding moose sheds. Me and Seth spent we earned those moose sheds, by the way, because Brian put our ass to work. Like I was almost on payroll. Like he paid me in moose antlers, because Wednesday we hung a bunch of trail cameras, ran a bunch of baits for the a lot of the baits they're hunting this week. We ran
Which I shoot with giants on.
right Thursday night. Actually, like if you follow Williams Woods and Water, go back a couple days. There's a picture he posted a couple days ago of a pretty nice bear with a white V on its chest, and there's a green barrel in the background, hanging horizontally. I personally, hung that camera the day before. When we went back the following day and pulled the card, that bear was on the thing, and I'm like, "That's all." Like I hung that camera yesterday, and now there's a giant bear on it. And then even the day Thursday when we found all the moose sheds, dude, it's like 100 degrees out. Me and Seth put in like 3 ground blinds and hung 2 tree stands for Brian, and Brian had a hell of a deal. Like we're paying him to do his work for him. I'm like, dude, like,
cool.
That's what he said. He's like, I'm not an idiot. Like, what do you think? Like, I'm like, I said, you don't understand, Brian. I paid you to come up here, do your work for you, and I thanked you for it.
Yeah.
That's so funny because so I reach out to my bear guide in Maine that I typically go with for the fall season, and I was like, hey, I want to come up and hunt and whatever. There's a couple guys, this, that, and the other thing, and he's like, yeah. He goes, I'll give you a deal if you work in the reefer. So that means that I get to skin all the bears, and he's gonna pay. I have to pay him to go skin.
Yeah, it's
bears.
a scam.
I'm like,
it's definitely a scam.
It's a scam.
And then you're like, and then you pay them and do the work, and you leave. And you're like, thank you so much for letting me do that. Like I appreciate, I love you, dude. Like thank you. Like I hope you let me come back and pay you more money to do more work for you. Like I had a blast.
It was amazing. That's what Yukon said. Like when the father and son shot bears, and like I grabbed the hold of the jet sled and I'm like dragging it back to the truck, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Doing my job," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Pay you guys, I tip you," and I'm dragging the freaking bears back to the truck. Like, you want me to skin them too when we get back to the camp? You know? He's like, "Hey, whatever, if you wanna," you know. But he's like, "Hey," he's like, I just want to tell you, like, I love this shit. Like, I love bear hunting. He gets in the truck.
Boys, I love this shit, boys.
I love it.
I love killing bears.
But it's the one thing is that, you know, that you guys are all serious outdoorsmen and you just love being part of it. It doesn't really matter what, you know, like it's.
I wouldn't like the guy Steve, you know, from I think Pennsylvania or whatever. Like he would have to just help him.
He was on here a little bit ago.
You know, like super cool dude. Like he was just up there, like riding around, doing baits, like helping them. Like I'd do that. If it wasn't 7 hours away, I'd be up there like the whole month of June helping them. You know,
100%.
Like it's just that type of like it's just awesome. Like you know, you tell people like, "Oh, I was kidding." I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I just don't know how to do it any kind of justice. You know, that's the thing. Like you don't want to like downplay it, but you're like, it was phenomenal. Like, what else do I say? Like,
I don't think, particularly the area where we're at, right? Like the ground that we're hunting, I don't think you can like over exaggerate it. Like, I don't think you can say anything and then you go there and be like, dude, I was expecting to be better than this. Like, I don't think you can overplay it.
Yeah, it was like, you know, we're sitting in the truck and like on the top of this mountain, and like me and like, you know, you kind of talking, and he's like, yeah, there could be bears like out there in the bush, like that nobody's ever seen. Like that nobody's ever seen. Like they've never been to a bait, they've never been anywhere. They're just out there in the wild. And it's like
dying of old age.
Yeah, like, and I was like, yeah, I didn't think of it like that. Like that's how like massive that piece of property. And then like he's showing me these bear nests, like we drive in, you know, and like here these bear nests are, and I was like, what the? I'm like this is like going to like Disney World for men that hunt, you know. What if
apparently they I don't know what time of the I guess maybe the fall, I guess. I don't know. I have to fact check this. They climb up in the beech trees and they start stripping the branches. I don't know if they're they must be eating I should have paid attention to my guide when he was telling me this, eating the beech nuts. But like as they're stripping the branches, they start stuffing them in underneath them, and they end up making this. It looks like a giant, like an eagle's nest.
Yeah, swear to God, it's huge.
And it's like these clusters, like
Brian, tippity top too. It's not like they're like,
but there's
level, like they're
But
freaking 50 feet in the air.
But they're everywhere. Like when you get into them, you look up and Brian's like, look, there's a bear nest there. And you look up and there's these freaking clusters like all through the woods. It's like Blair Witch shit. You're like, what the fuck is
Swear to
that?
God. Like it was the coolest shit.
The bears did that.
That's wild. I never have to look when I get into a beach flat and see what, like, that's crazy.
It was unbelievable. Like,
The good thing
they're like,
about
oh yeah, there's one. I'm like, holy shit! Like it looks like a damn like osprey's nest in like the tree. That's how
But-
big it is. It's like this big around, and it's just like all the there's stuffed in there, all perfect, so that like they can get up in the tree. Like that's the stuff that like you can't tell people about. That they don't see it
that's
like
wild.
live in their face. Like that you don't. I don't know.
It sucks, dude. Like it's like I can't tell you how many times I've been like, I want to do something else, right? Like I want a different hunt or a different trip or whatever, and it's like, then you go and you're like, I have to do this again next year.
That was great.
You're like, nah.
I have to. Like I can't. This is my life now. Like I have. This is a part of me. Like I need this.
They're like, yeah, I'm going. I was gonna write him a check before I even left, and like, I'm ready for next year.
Monday night, Chris was like, "Yeah, well, you want my deposit for next year?" He hadn't even done it. Like, I'm doing this again.
Swear to God, wild. Yeah, it was a great week. Great week, dude.
And that week too, man. Like the rut's on. Like there's the chasing and the grunting and the moaning and like even he can show you the bears that he's got on camera and they'll be big. There's a big bear. There's a shooter at every single beat, right? But it's also the rut. So at any moment, any one of those bears that no one's ever seen before could show up. It's just
That's wild.
Yeah, it don't suck. I can tell you
I'm
that.
glad you guys had a good trip and everybody was successful and had a great experience and saw tons of bears. I mean, they seem like they have a really good operation up there.
It's just getting better too.
What did Maddie see? Maddie saw like over 30 bears, all the way to Thursday.
Dude, we didn't even talk about the storm that rolled in Thursday night.
Oh, that was the same thing. So we came back from moose shed hunting Thursday night. We saw the storm rolling in, and I remember John asking Maddie, like, hey, do you have an umbrella, a tree umbrella? And Maddie's like, no. He's like, are you in a ground blind? He's like, no, I'm in a tree. Because I think by that night, John and Maddie were the only ones in tree stands. Everyone else was in ground blinds. And he's like, do you want an umbrella? And Maddie's like, no, I'm good. So we're like on the way other side of this. I mean, we're talking 100,000 acres, right? Like we're on the way other side moose shed hunting, and we're coming back, and you can kind of see the storm coming across the south side, and we're like, oh, them boys are getting wet tonight, like, haha, suckers, like laughing. And then we hit a little bit of sprinkle, like nothing bad. We get back to camp, get the moose sheds out, take that nice picture. I'm sure everybody's seen by now on the picnic table, and then the storm rolls in, dude, and it freaking hammers camp. Hurricane winds.
Thunder that just doesn't stop. It just rolling thunder. And I'm like, and like I had just took a shower in the main camp, and Seth and Dad were in the main camp, and we're just like hanging out in the main lodge, and it was raining so bad outside. Like we were stuck in camp. Like we couldn't even get over to our cabins or whatever. And I remember going like, fuck, dude, like I'm glad I'm at camp and I'm not out in the middle of nowhere right now.
It was awesome.
And then I was like, fuck, I wish I was out in the middle of nowhere right now, because this would be awesome, like intense. And like, yeah, like I wish Maddie could have jumped in tonight, but his son Jamo's graduating from middle school. But like Maddie said, his tree was shaking, like he thought the tree stand was coming down, the wind was so bad. He ended up
the road. We were sitting up on the top, and we were the same thing. We watched that storm, and Johnny's on his phone, and he's like, you think we should pull the guys? And Yukon's like, well, I can tell you right now, Maddie's not no bitch. And he's like, I'm not. He's like, I know he's not going to get out of the stand. So we're sitting there, and the lightning was just like, you could just see it. Like, it was everywhere. And so we run out of cell service. So Yukon drives down the road a little bit to see if he can get better cell service, because he wanted to text Maddie to see if he was all right. So we get down a little bit, text Maddie. Maddie's like, yeah, I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm like, all right. Literally 30 seconds later, it was like a hurricane. on top of a tornado. Like the wind was blowing so hard, and the rain, the road just turned into like a river. Like that's what we were driving through, and we come down the road. Yukon goes to turn into the road to go get Maddie, and like the truck just like went straight. He's like, "Well, boys, think I got to put her in 4-wheel drive." And he turns the thing, and like we were just like going down this road, like the water you couldn't see, the windows fogged up, like the rain in. You can't roll the window down because you're gonna get soaked. And we turned going down, like, and then Yukon's like, I'm not familiar with this band. I've never been here but once, you know. And we no sooner turned the corner and like, here's Maddie like walking down the road, like the water. There's like a foot of water on both sides of where you drive in, and he's soaked. Like his boots are full with water. His muck boots are full with water, like right to the top. He jumps in the back of the truck. We turn around. We go back out to the main road, and it stops raining. And Meg's like, I got to dump the water out of my boots. He took his boot off, and it was like you filled his boot with a gallon of water. He just dumps it out onto the ground. And he's like, yeah, that's just that one. He takes the other one off, dumps the water out. Like, we couldn't stop laughing. It was so freaking funny. And we get in the truck, and we're sitting there. Now, like, that was kind of the rendezvous for that night. We were waiting for Tom and John's son. And we finally they all come up, and like it started to rain again, and we went back. The road was just like the water was everywhere. It's on the road. We get back, and we're all soaked, and Steve's like, "Oh man, I wish I was out there. Like we were stuck here in camp," and I was like, "Dude, you don't even know. Like I didn't know. You couldn't even see the road. All you could see was spruce trees on one side of the road, spruce trees, and we were just kind of going down the center, you know. You couldn't even see. Trying to wipe the window, trying to get the friggin' the fog off the window, the wipers are going back. I was like, you can't, like, that's another just added experience. Like, you couldn't, like, tell anybody this.
That drive out on a random Tuesday on a crystal clear night is an adventure, right? 11 o'clock at night. I don't know how far. It's got to be, what, 30 miles maybe, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. That drive from the rendezvous to camp on a crystal clear Tuesday night is a fucking adventure, let alone in a downpour like that. Like, I can't imagine.
The dust. We're talking about the dust. Like, when it gets dusty there, you can't, like, you got to wait for the guy to go 15 minutes in front of you, because otherwise you can't see. It's just like it's like a whiteout. Like you with the lights and everything on it, you can't see because the road gets so dusty.
The first time I went up there was last year for my turkey hunt. I was up there. I met Brian up there after I killed my turkey. So I was like, come on, I want to show you the new ground. So I'm like, all right. So I follow Brian into the hunting ground in my personal truck, right? So I don't remember exactly where. I think it was the rendezvous there. I parked my truck there. I jumped in with Brian and Tyler and Kenny. So we went around, ran some baits, blah, blah, blah. There was two guys hunting. That was when Canada in the Rough was there, and this guy, Tim. So I stayed with him right till dark. We picked up the hunters, whatever. So now I got to get back in my truck to get out of there. Like, I'm in the middle of I've never been here before in my personal truck. And you know how them boys drive.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 11 o'clock at night, no cell service. Brian's like, follow me out. So I'm like, okay, cool. He takes off. I'm trying to keep up, and like it's so dusty. I'm like, oh shit! So I got to slow down because I can't see the road. So I slow down, and then the wind hits right, and the dust disappears, and I'm like, oh shit! I don't know where he went. So now I'm flooring it through through all those cuts, trying to catch up, and like just, oh my god! I hope I see dust. I hope I see it. And then you like see a little dust up ahead. You're like, all right, I'm going the right way, because if I lose Brian, I have no clue where I am or how I'm getting out of there. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
He makes it like, oh, no big deal. Once you see the tower, he's like, you're almost at camp. It's like, what tower? You don't see the tower until you come around the corner and come back down the last hill. And you're like, oh, that cell tower? Like, oh, like you could, if we were back there 10 miles, you ain't going to see that.
Yeah. It's a different world.
Different up there. phenomenal.
Well, I'm glad you boys had fun. At least enjoyed it. Sounds like everyone's going to be going back next year to do the same thing again.
100%.
Stevie's going back,
without
going up
without
moose.
a doubt.
So
He's going what? November,
September.
September.
yeah.
Yep.
So if you guys have, they can go and check out Williams Woods and Water. Maybe get on before everybody else books their trips. Chris is already in. He's down for the. He's already in for
He's
next.
hooked. He's hooked.
He might be going alone. He doesn't care. He's going.
I don't care. I'll pack the truck up. I'll be gassing it up there. I'll be hitting Brian up so I can make sure he knows I'm coming.
Well, it's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a good trip. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed the stories. Go and check everybody out at Williams Woods and Water. Get in for a good old spring bear hunt, and we appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Chris, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you on again very soon. And for everybody else, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.